Hi, Murderfiends. How you
Hello,
doing?
everyone.
Okay, so this week's been, as always, a bit hectic.
Yep. Some things never change.
Yeah, Dirk's carrying a cold, so if he sounds a bit off, that's why.
Have some timbre and resonance in my actor's voice.
Yes, your actor's voice.
My actor's voice.
Which is actually really good, because Dirk having his actor's voice is how I find him in the shops now, because you've got to wear those masks.
We tried out masks today for an extended period of time.
We live in quite a rural part of Australia. Armidale. Hi, Turtle.
Hello, Turtle.
This is our cat, if you're watching on YouTube. We live in quite a rural part of New South Wales in Australia, but it's still classified as a city, and it's the highest city in Australia. We live up a mountain, and it's cold, but that's not what the point. The point is that the cops have now said and released a thing saying that it is advised that you wear masks now when you go like on public transport or shopping, that kind of thing. And me being kind of immunocompromised with fibro and fibromyalgia and that sort of thing, it's a really good idea for me to wear a mask anyway. So we wore our masks for the first time today when we went shopping, because normally we're really, really good at social distancing, but it's getting a bit hectic out there. I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
So yeah, but we were making that joke that, like, you can always tell Dirk because he's got that timber voice and actor's voice.
Timber. You mentioning timber reminds me of that joke you make about my inside voice, actor's voice.
Oh, the fact that you learnt your inside voice in a helicopter full of chainsaws.
Yeah. Chainsaws, timber, lumber.
Yeah.
And
because he has not got an inside voice.
So I've been told. And you felt various levels of discomfort. I felt drowsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dirk felt very drowsy. I had to go get my eyes checked today. Because I'm getting old, my eyes are going all funny. And so I need new glasses, even though I only brought these ones a year ago. I need new glasses, so that's another expense I really needed right now. But because I'm the only driver, I need to keep my eyes good. So
I was working on that on my end, but then COVID-19 happened, didn't it?
Yeah. So I'd rather you wait to get your license until it's safe. But I have to go down to Newcastle tomorrow, and Newcastle has just been declared a hotspot. So, yay. But I won't be going to any shops or anything like that. I have a mask for putting in petrol and that kind of thing if I need to, which I will. But I have to go down and get Cody because he's got to come up and get all his stuff because he's just moved into an apartment with his new girlfriend.
That's right.
Well, a new apartment with his girlfriend. He's been with his girlfriend for a while, but they just got a new apartment. So he needs to get his stuff. That's us rambling for now.
It is, and you don't need to quarantine. You and Dakota will not need to quarantine.
No, we shouldn't, because we're not going anywhere bad. Does that make sense? Like, we're not going anywhere. We are going around family and people we know. So, family.
Yes.
And so, we shouldn't need to quarantine.
You shouldn't, no. It should be a great week. And on that note, let's get into this week's criminal.
Again, it's very late on a Friday night.
Yes, it is.
Because Dirk worked today. But we are finding that Fridays are much better to get the podcast out on time.
After I make those sweet, sweet ducats. Yeah. And come home and we have dinner and a nice, delicious hot chocolate.
Yes, and I'm going to have a sip of that before we start. But, as if you listened to last week's, you'll know that this week we're doing Carl Williams because it is by request by our friend Tammy, who is also a listener.
Big ups to Tammy.
Yep. And she went the proper way about it and actually emailed her request in. She didn't just ask us the next time she saw us. She actually was nice enough to put an email in.
Thank you, Tammy. You are being an awesome, awesome fan and family member. And
we'll see you on Tuesday.
Exactly, we shall.
Okay. So, yeah, Carl Williams.
The bogan, this media image of him exacerbated? Well, definitely...
Yeah, okay. Stop for just 1 second. Dirk will know a lot about this because he has done a lot of Gangland War studies. So...
Not as much...
as Squizzy Taylor and stuff like that, but you still know a lot about
it. Caitlin Divine. But I know enough.
I need to get those names off you too later.
Oh, I'm happy to give them to you.
Sweet.
But yeah, it's strengthened the first season of Underbelly.
Was
definitely
about the Melbourne Gangland killings.
And it's strengthened this whole image of Carl Williams as the bogan kingpin of Melbourne's drug trade.
He's a babyface killer.
Yes, pondering chicken takeaway meals when not when not overseeing the methamphetamines.
He's
and ecstasy
completely
trade.
one of those people that you would not expect to be a criminal,
Mm.
or at least a high up criminal. You expect him to be like a lackey.
Mm.
Um,
If you look at photographs,
but he gave himself the nickname of the Premier because he runs this fucking state.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave himself that nickname.
Yes. And what do they say about people who give themselves nicknames?
True that. So he was part of the Melbourne Gangland killings, as we were saying.
Babyface killers.
But he's also officially the last murder of the Melbourne Gangland killings.
Yes.
So he was born on the 13th of October, 1970.
Mm-hmm.
If you're superstitious, that would be a very bad birthday
Yes.
because it's the 13th and it's in October,
Mm.
which is the devil's month
That's right.
because of Halloween and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So he married Roberta Williams, and they had a daughter, Dakota,
Mm-hmm.
who was born on the 10th of March, which is about 6 weeks older than my son, Dakota.
Mm.
6th of March, 2001.
Well, there you go.
Same age as Dakota. Our Dakota.
That's crazy.
Except she spelled D-H.
Yes, I remember
A-K-O-T-A.
reading that when she had an interview with 60
Yeah, they did
Minutes?
60 Minutes interview with her when she was like 17.
Yeah.
So about 2 years ago. Whereas our Dakota is spelled like state, D-A-K-O-T-A.
Yes.
Yeah, and ours is a boy, and this is a girl.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely in that time when a lot of Dakotas came out, which is why I was kind of pissed that I named Dakota Dakota.
Doesn't she have siblings?
No, she's an only child.
She's an only child? Okay.
Yeah. So, Carl Williams is thought to be responsible for at least 10 of the gangland killings, but he's only charged with 3.
Mm.
So, the Melbourne Gangland Wars, Carl Williams was involved from the beginning, same as Jason and Mark Moran, because on the 13th of October, 1999, happy birthday, Carl, he was shot in the stomach by Jason Moran due to owing the Morans a ton of drug money. And that's what started the Gangland Wars.
Mm.
And I was 17 at this point. And it was insane. Seeing it on the news all the time and everything. Do you remember it at all?
Remember bits and pieces.
Because you were like 11.
I was 11 at the time, and I can remember bits and pieces, snippets of news stories on the television news, and in the newspapers, and I think my parents spoke about it a little bit, but you would have a wider exposure to all sorts of media being almost an adult at the time.
Yeah, but I was also drunk a lot. At that stage in my life. So I remember it, and it wasn't insane, but I don't remember a lot. Because I was drunk a lot. Yep.
At the time, that could have helped you engage in certain ways.
Gonna go with drunk. Because I was probably stoned a lot too then too.
Go, Carl, or boo, Carl, or something. I don't know.
I just wasn't near a TV that much, so... and then I got knocked up. So I was just like, oh, okay. Not really that... I have a bit more pressing matters, in the stomach.
Yes.
Than the Morans and the Williams.
Pressing against the side of the stomach.
Yeah,
literally.
exactly, like kicking out and stuff.
Yeah. After that personal side note tangent...
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember a little bit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the first murder linked with Williams is Mark Moran. So Moran was 35 and he was shot outside his house. I am so sorry if I terrorise any of these Melbourne suburbs names. I'm really sorry. But Aberfieldy. So he was shot at about 8 p.m. on the 15th of June 2000. So poor bastard, right in the middle of the Olympics and everything.
I know, right? And yeah, I think the pronunciation is Aberfieldy. I mean, Melbourne had it in 56. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like right in the middle of that year. Anywho, Mark Moran is Jason Moran's half-brother.
Mm-hmm.
And the charges against Williams for Mark Moran's death was dropped due to a plea agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So just remember that.
Yep.
So Jason Moran was next, right? Mark's half brother was he was a leader in the Moran family. It was basically his father Lewis.
Yes.
And him and Mark.
So it was a clannish sort of arrangement.
Yeah. So it's the Moran family.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name.
It's a dynasty. It's a crime dynasty.
And then the Moran family was part of the Carlton crew.
Yes, and yes, there's this long history of crews in Australian urban underworld, but specifically the Melbourne.
Yeah, and specifically the gangland killing.
Yes.
And he was the one that shot Williams in the abdomen. Jason was shot along with his minder Pasquale Barbaro. That dude.
Pasquale Barbaro.
Hey, I was close.
I do, yeah.
But notice that his name is not on the list of murders for Williams. Yet he was killed at the same time, same day, same place, same everything as Jason Moran.
Me detect a conspiracy.
No, I just don't think he was important enough, apparently. While watching 5 kids they had brought to play football at a football clinic. On the 21st of June 2003. So this was 3 years after his brother, almost to the day. At Cross Keys Reserve in Essington. They returned to their car after picking up the kids, and the kids were in the back of a van, and a gunman came up to the passenger side or driver's side, I'm not too sure, but shot both of them in the front seat, and there was 5 kids behind them.
And that just...
including Jason's twins. There were 6-year-old twins.
That flies across so many cultures. The criminal underworlds. No matter what they do, I mean, they're supposed to have codes.
Yeah, well,
and a lot of them are. You don't involve children.
I think Carl Williams got that code book and threw it out the window.
Yeah,
because this isn't the only kid that's involved. So Jason had 6-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, and they were sitting in the back. So they saw their father get shot. Security footage showed a figure of the gunman running from the scene. And Lewis Moran could not attend the funeral due to being locked up, and the cops did not approve his compassionate grounds to go to the funeral because of the security risk. Obviously, someone was after the Morans.
Yeah.
So the gunman, nicknamed by the cops the Runner, ended up being Victor Brincat, and he figured Williams for killing the Morans, for hiring him to kill the Moran, like Jason Moran and Barbaro. But he skimped on the $100,000 fee, so that's why Brincat dobbed him in. So, but we'll get to that a bit later.
There's a pattern emerging here. People not paying their debts.
Yeah, well, obviously Carl Williams is not a Lannister.
No, he's definitely not a Lannister.
So,
he might have ended up being as rich as a Lannister at one point, but he's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the worst deaths attributed to Carl Williams, and we know that he did it, was Mark Malia. He died an absolute horrible death. And this was on the 18th of August, 2003, so this was, 2 months after Jason Moran?
Mm-hmm.
He was tortured on the orders of Carl Williams by 5 men, including gangland figure Andrew Benji Benamine, who was Williams' right-hand man from 2002 to late 2003.
Worked out a lot, from all accounts. Was very into fitness and the like.
Got shot by someone. Gatto, I think so. I don't know.
Gatto.
There is a lot to cover in the gangland murders. This is just a smidgen.
Yeah.
A smidgen. I looked at the timeline of the gangland murders, and it's just insane. It's like 4 years of death. 4 or 5 years of just death. People dying left, right, and centre.
And decades down the line, people who live through it will be regarded by younger generations like we currently regard those who are old enough to have lived through the Gangland Wars in Chicago during the 20s and 30s.
They dress better.
Or
The guys in Chicago.
Or the craze in London during the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, but they all dress better. These guys dressed in t-shirts and what do they call those really short shorts? Sluggers.
The 1920s gangsters.
Something like that.
Something like that. They had a sense of style, except when it came to gangland funerals. Then they all got into their suits and sunglasses.
You wait until I tell you about Carl Williams' fucking funeral. Oh my goodness. Anyway, back to death. So Williams thought Malia had hidden drug money, and he wanted it back. And so the men interrogated Malia by using a soldering iron, like torturing him with a soldering iron, before being strangled to death. Now we don't know if the torture was actually successful or not, but he died.
Yeah. That was the end result.
That was the end result. His body was put in a wheelie bin and lit on fire. He was found in the melted bin. Okay, a wheelie bin is like a bin that you just take out. It's got wheels and, you get it. It's the name of it.
Oh, should we probably define... I just realised when I mentioned earlier Carl Williams being a bogan. Should we define bogan for our international audience?
I think the American... the American word for it is redneck.
Or white trash. In Britain, it's chav. I think there's a Canadian version.
Yeah, but it's kind of like that. But yeah, he looked like a bogan.
Mm-hmm.
But he was quite successful and rich. Yes. Which is weird. And
you'd be surprised still.
No, I understand that. So Malia was found in the melted bin in a stormwater drain in West Sunshine. The autopsy report said he died of a neck compression, which, considering he was strangled to death, is, duh.
Mm.
But that's probably how they figured out that it was strangulation rather than arson or something like that. So, so on the 25th of October 2003, which was only a couple more months after that one, so Jason, Mark Malia, and Michael Marshall were all killed within like a couple of months of each other. Was shot 4 times in the head outside his South Yarra home. His 5-year-old son was present and witnessed the murder. Apparently the motive is that Williams wanted to frame Marshall for the killing of Willie Thompson. So ordered his murder. Now Thompson was killed in July of 2003 as a drive-by. But what I don't understand is Thompson was an ally of the Morans.
Mm.
So I have no idea what was going on there. It became controversial because Victor Brincat... You right there?
Yep.
Did you check on your hot chocolate?
I'm okay, just a little bit, I think.
Just a smidge?
Just a smidge.
You know you're not supposed to inhale that.
I realise. You be quiet, I'm not 100%.
That doesn't mean you inhale hot chocolate. I don't care how not 100% you are. So it became controversial as Victor Brincat and Thomas Henschel were under police surveillance at the time of the shooting, and they did the shooting.
Mm.
So the cops either couldn't or wouldn't stop the murder.
I definitely detect a conspiracy here. There's probably some backstory.
There probably is, but yeah, I didn't get into it.
Yeah.
There is a lot of information to get through on this, and I thought it would be more important to get other stuff.
And there was a lot of information that had to be kept under wraps.
Oh, we get to that later too.
Yeah, during the trials. For a time.
So, Louis Moran was the last murder attributed to Williams. Louis was the patriarch of the Moran family. He outlived both his son Jason and his stepson Mark. On the 31st of March 2004, Louis and his buddy Herb, or Birdie, Rout, were at a local having a drink.
Mm-hmm.
The Brunswick Club Hotel in Brunswick. They were both on bail, and as such didn't have guns on them because that would breach their bail if they were pulled over by the cops.
Very true.
It says Lewis's bail was for drug charges.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a violent thing.
Yeah.
So 2 gunmen wearing balaclavas, they pulled up to the pub in a Ford and got out, and when Lewis saw them. He started bolting. He took off. And get this. Old dude, right? Took off, jumped over a poker machine and through a glass window, but the dude's caught up with him anyway. Shot him twice in the back of the head, execution style.
Yeah.
Rat was badly injured, but lived. So they're all the murders that are attributed to Williams. So he was arrested, and on the 28th of February 2007, he appeared before Melbourne Supreme Court or Victorian Supreme Court. I think it's Melbourne Supreme Court. And he pleaded guilty to the murders of Lewis and Jason Moran and Mark Malia. He also pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder of Mario Condello, who was a lawyer who was shot.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, it was revealed that he was already serving a 21-year sentence for the murder of Michael Marshall. And the conspiracy to commit, the fact that he was charged with the conspiracy to commit murder of Mario Condello, and the fact that he was already serving this 21-year sentence. This has been suppressed until that appearance in front of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Completely suppressed in the media. Now, his sentencing was murder of Michael Marshall, he got 27 years with a 21-year non-parole period.
Yeah.
Murder of Jason Moran, he got life. Murder of Mark Malia, he got life. Murder of Lewis Moran, he got 25 years. And conspiracy to murder Mario Condello, he got 25 years too.
That's a lot of sentences.
Well, he got two lives, but for two of them, he only got 25 years.
It's always puzzled me how the law ends. Like passing out judgments can make distinctions.
Yeah, he pled guilty to all of them. Anywho, so he was killed on the 19th of April 2010 at Barwon Prison, where he was bashed in the head by the handlebar section of an exercise bike. Now, I have an exercise bike. It'd take a bit of bashing for that to work.
It was caught on CCTV.
I know.
Footage.
The inmate that killed him, Matthew Charles Johnson, was convicted of murder, and 32 years was added to his sentence in December 2011. Williams's funeral was on the 13th of April 2010 in Essendon. He was buried in a gold fucking coffin.
A gold coffin?
Yes, in a nameless pot with no headstone. So I understand, not wanting the public to, know where his body is and that.
Yeah.
But where does his daughter go? Does she know where it is? So she can go and mourn? Or
I wouldn't be surprised if she either knows, she's not letting anyone else know, or she only knows that there is a symbolic place where she goes to pay her respects.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be my guess. But
I talk to my mum all the time.
You do?
Yeah, and she ain't buried anywhere near here. Pain in the butt, ghost. But
a long-running in-joke.
Yes, but this is just a small section of the Melbourne Gangland killings.
Yeah. He'd made some moolah if he could be.
He made a lot of money.
Gold coffin.
Dakota actually had she lost a court case because she got left a $1 million property when he died.
Yeah.
But she couldn't keep it.
Because it came from the proceeds of crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I kind of feel sorry for her, in a way.
Yeah.
You're the daughter of one of the biggest gangsters in Australian history. And one of the biggest gangsters in recent Australian history.
Yeah.
And you're only 19. That's
right. And when you are approached by the press to give your side of the story, and there's a pattern here with the children of notorious gangsters and criminals, justifying what their parent did with the express belief that it was to look after his family and everything. Now I can understand that.
Sorry, go.
You don't want to think that your parent was a total bad egg or anything like that. But it's also partly, self-delusion.
Yeah, and if you look at the facts, it's clearly revenge has quite a significant element in the whole starting of the war and that. But like, her mother's not much either, Roberta Williams. She just got done for kidnapping and extortion and stuff. She's out on bail.
Yep.
So it's not like she's turned her life around and became Susie Homemaker.
Yeah. I heard a bit about that, yeah.
Yeah, she got released.
Yeah. Apparently, Dakota reckoned that her portrayal in Underbelly was laughable. Was laughably inaccurate.
Is that because they got someone hotter than her to play her?
Oh! Sick burn, Sylvia.
I don't know, Roberta.
She needs to go to the burn victims unit.
I'm no
That's
like
harsh, man.
Like statue or Mona Lisa or whatever, but neither's Roberta Williams. So what? She's not. So you know who I feel sorry for? Just in general, I feel sorry for the kids. Like especially Jason and Jason Moran's and Michael Marshall's kid.
Yeah.
Because they saw their parents get shot in front of them. Like, and they were old enough, like 5 and 6. Like, you have memories from when you're 5 and 6 years old. And something that traumatic.
That's going to psychologically scar you for a long time.
I hope they got therapy.
I hope so too. and that just...
As always, it's the kids that are hurt in this kind of scenario.
It just underscores how dirty the whole war was, the gangland killings in Melbourne at that time. Do you know, I was just thinking...
Feel free to add to this, because that is just a really bare bones of what Kyle Williams did. It doesn't go into any of the drug trafficking or anything like that. But he was a major drug trafficker and a hitman himself.
When you were talking about Roberta Williams being dramatised.
I just want to quickly say that Roberta Williams was a drug trafficker before she married Kyle Williams too. So he didn't make her sell drugs or anything. She was already in that game.
And she and Carl were divorced before he was killed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it took me a while to find that actually, because it said that they were ex-wife and estranged wife and blah blah blah, but it didn't actually say that they were divorced anywhere or when they were divorced. They just said that they weren't together when he died. So it doesn't even say like on his Murderpedia or his wiki page or anything that they were divorced. So it took me a while to see whether or not they were actually still together or whether it was after. Because, you know, when someone dies, they say ex-wife or ex-husband. Yeah. I thought it was that kind of ex. But it took me like 4 or 5 articles to get that they were actually separated beforehand. So their relationship isn't exactly clear-cut. As
with a lot of factors in this story. And many others.
As with any, like, gangland or gangster, sneaky shit. I couldn't think of the proper word, but it means sneaky shit. It's sneaky, like
subterfuge.
That's the word. Thank you very much, Mr. Graduate. It was like it's all smoke and mirrors throughout the whole thing. Like their all their dealings are shady and that and honestly, you're only getting what they tell you because they screw each other over. How do you know they're not telling you? They're telling you the whole truth. Do you know what I mean? And like, and Carl Williams, he got away with a lot of murders. Like, he only claimed 3, but there is evidence of him being connected to at least 10. At least that he either ordered or had dealings with. So, and I don't get why it was done for... See, this is something that I don't understand, and I wish I could look at the files. I don't understand why it was done for murder.
Yeah.
For Jason, Lewis, and Michael Marshall. But he wasn't there. He wasn't the one that killed them. So why was he done for murder for those and not and either conspiracy to murder for those or just murder for the Mario Condello one? Like, was it part of a plea deal? Like, that made no sense at all. Because why was he done with those charges is what I want to know. Because it doesn't make sense.
Further research may be required.
Yeah, like if he was going to be done with murder for Michael, Jason and Lewis, why wasn't he done for murder for Mario Condello? And if he was done for conspiracy to murder for Mario Condello, why wasn't he done for conspiracy to murder for the other ones? Because he basically did the same for all of them.
Had to go back and look at the transcripts of the
there would be a
trials.
lot of research to find out why that was that.
And the police investigation too.
Yeah, you would have to look into everything.
Yeah.
And to be honest, dude, we know that there were cops on the take.
Yeah.
During the Gangland Wars.
There was a long history in the major cities of police officers being corrupt and on the take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you look at Brisbane with the Fitzgerald inquiry, like Queensland with the Fitzgerald inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
But we do know that there were cops on the take during the Gangland Wars on all sides. Same with lawyers and that kind of thing too.
Yes.
Carl Williams was not happy that his judge was a woman, by the way.
Oh yeah, I remember reading that in the book Underbelly that the
Justice King
yes
was a woman.
That's right.
I don't know if she's still on the bar or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
I ain't a lawyer.
First season of the television program was based upon. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you don't know, there's a show here in Australia called Underbelly, and the first season was a loose interpretation.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't true to form, but it was a fairly decent telling of it. Of the Gangland Wars, and it was released, 2 years after Carl
It came
was...
out in 2007,
I thought it was 2008.
I think.
I think it was 2008, and he was arrested in 2007. And it's all about that. But the franchise of Underbelly has gone on.
That's right.
There's 5 seasons of it now? 4 seasons?
5 or 6 and various...
There's spin-offs as well.
Various spin-offs, yes.
Fat Tony and Co. and Informers, something or other.
Yeah, it wasn't able to be shown in Victoria during the trial in case it would prejudice...
Well, there was...
Poison the water,
I don't
poison
think
the
it was
well.
actually shown in Victoria for a couple of years after.
Yeah, in case it would be, prejudicial towards the jury, the media. What I was trying to say beforehand concerning the depiction of Roberta Williams, her being portrayed by an actress, by an actor. It's the glamorization, which is aided by the fact that you only are getting part of the story and you're getting multiple perspectives, and it's being, depending upon the person telling the story, it's been altered in such a way to make the person telling it look as bright a light as possible, ironing out all the flaws and whatnot. It adds to the glamorization. And Roberta Williams in the first season of Underbelly, it has parallels with the portrayals of Kate Lee and Tilly Devine when we get to Underbelly Razor, looking at the underworld, the Gangland Wars in Sydney in the 1920s, because, there's quite...
They were naughty women in the 1920s.
They certainly were, and there's not much not much of a likeness between the actresses playing Kate Lee and Tilly Devine and the actual
No, it's kind of
deceased,
It's kind of like with books.
Mm.
Like.
But you reminded me of that when you were talking about. Yeah.
Sorry.
Roberta Williams.
But there's always 3 versions of the story: the his, hers, and the truth.
Yes.
And also,
but glamorization of the whole, specifically for what we're talking about, the Melbourne Gangland Wars in the medium of television.
Yeah, but they as I was saying, there is a lot of information. Like there is a butt ton of information to go through and try and sort through what's important and what's not. And for the show creators, I would have to say that they would have picked the direction they wanted to tell the story and gone with that.
Yes.
And to be honest, in the story, from what I can remember, you can correct me if I'm wrong. From what I can remember is Roberta was a supporting character. It was more around Carl Williams and the Morans. With Roberta being like a backup of a character development for Carl Williams rather than a character of her own in the story. And that's why I say it's a loose interpretation of it.
Yes.
Because there is so much information, there is so much shady dealings, there is so much things that you're never going to know that you can only extrapolate or interpret.
And people are still alive, there's a threat of litigation.
Exactly, there's slander, there's all sorts of things that you could, like the people that made Underbelly, I think it was 9, wasn't it? 9 Network?
Yes.
Made Underbelly. They'd be, like, we're not the most litigatous country in the world, but we're not the most litigatous country in the world either. Like, there's plenty of lawsuits to worry about and stuff like that.
We're still pretty litigious as a nation.
We are, and but like it'd be very difficult to tell that story.
Yeah, even though libel laws, they tend to protect the rich and famous and powerful and well connected.
True that, but it would be a very, very difficult story to tell. Like a lot of from what I can remember, as I said, I have not seen Underbelly for a long time. But from what I can remember, it was basically around the Carlton crew with the Morans and the Williams group.
Yeah.
Right? There was about 5 or 6 other groups involved in the Gangland Wars, though. So you're missing all these points of view.
True.
By focusing only on that main... And true, they are the main protagonists of the war, of the killings.
Well, it's streamlining for dramatic convenience.
Exactly,
for one thing.
But you're still missing all these other points of view of these other gangs and why they're involved.
Well, here's something to consider. Several characters in the show, they could not be identified legally because of a trial that was happening. So maybe certain things have to be cut out for legal reasons.
Yeah, I also think that... Don't quote me on this one, but I could not find the names of Jason's children.
Yeah.
I also couldn't find the name of Michael Marshall's child. So I think those witnesses would be suppressed as well because they were juveniles at the time.
Yeah.
And I think they would still be suppressed even now.
Yeah.
Because unlike Dakota Williams, I don't think they were wanting to be known.
Yeah.
Because I've not seen any mention of them other than they were there. They're a boy and a girl twin. That's it.
Yeah.
And the 5-year-old at Michael Marshall's. Also, I think they're still underage. Maybe? No, they'd be adults now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
they were 6 in 2003. So they'd be just adults.
As with...
But if anyone can find the names of the children, or if we are wrong in any way, please let us know. Email, comment on the YouTube channels.
Yes, please do.
Contact us on Facebook. We'd love to know when we're wrong.
As with our discussion in a previous episode about transcripts of appointments with psychiatrists and other mental health workers, the privileged nature of that. we're not 100% sure about the relevant laws, legislation around this, but maybe
as patients, we've been told from our therapist that the only time that she will release our files is if we are in danger to ourselves or others.
And maybe information might come out. More information may come out down the track, especially upon the death of parties involved or something. Yeah.
But also, as you said, a lot of information was suppressed during the trial. How do we know that information isn't being suppressed as well now? Like, there could be a butt ton of information that we're just not privy to because we're not in law enforcement or lawyers or whatever.
Yeah.
And the whole history is told by the victors.
Yes.
Williams won. He beat the Morans.
True.
So, but yeah. Well, there are going to be things that we'll never know.
And there's only so far you can go with the Australian equivalent of the Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah. Yeah, because ours is a lot tighter than others.
Yeah.
And we actually don't have freedom of speech. Yeah. It's not in our constitution.
Well, it's not enshrined in the Constitution.
No, it's not. So, yeah. So that's Carl Williams.
Yes.
And his twisted little world.
Yes.
Or part of it. It's only a little. I cannot overestimate how little a part of the whole of the gangland killings this is. Like, yes, it is an integral part. Yes, it is a very important part. But there was so much that happened around it as well. That added to why these murders and that happened.
He's calling into Darren Hinch.
I would probably have to do an episode on, like, each Moran murder.
Yeah.
To, like, just individually to pull apart why they actually happened. And
a very special episode.
But no.
Episodes, plural.
No!
Oh, Tammy would love it. Come on.
No! No, that would be insane.
She'd give big props. Much love to her sister for doing that.
Well, I've touched on it now. Let's just see if we run out of material.
Okay.
But Carl Williams is one of the heavy hitters of Australian murder. And probably one of the first that we've done that are a big hitter.
I think so too. And obviously, we've mentioned it several times. There is the first season of the of the series Underbelly. I was just trying to think. Would it be drama doc or docudrama? Historical miniseries, but modern history and adaptation.
It might also be on Amazon Video. Look it up. But
there's also quite a few documentaries too, because people are fascinated. Content creators of true crime are fascinated by times in history, such as the Melbourne Gangland killings.
There's a tour. You can do a tour in Melbourne.
Plus 60 Minutes and other television shows. They continue to air stories about that. But sorry, I keep interrupting you.
That's all right. Twisted History was one of the references I used. It's a tour in Melbourne. Wikipedia, Murderpedia, the usuals were also bases of my, stepping off blocks of my research. 9 News, all the usual news articles and stuff like that. Just letting you know where I got my info from.
Thank you for that, Sil.
Right.
I don't know. Have you come across in your research any other good biographies of Carl Williams or any of the big players in
There's a good
Gangland
one.
Killings?
Well, not the Gangland Killings. There is one for Ivan Milat.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in serial killers personally, so that's where my forte is. But and I would not classify Carl Williams as a serial killer. Because he didn't actually do the shootings. So, but I'm sure there would be biographies or books about it. I'm fairly sure there's a book of Underbelly.
Yes, there is. That the series were based upon.
Yeah. So I think there is.
We have it.
Do we have the first season? I thought we just had the Squizzy Taylor one.
We have the first season and we have the book it was based on.
Oh, okay.
In our collection.
Oh, bonus might go watch them.
Do it.
I haven't watched them for about 10 years.
it.
So, yeah, that's it. And
Watch it now that you're not drunk and stoned all the time.
Shush.
You're the one who said it.
I was, though. During the time of the killings. Until I got up the daft. Got a bun in the oven. And then I stopped being stupid. So, yeah, that's it for this week, guys. And we will see you all next week.
See you next
week. Have a good one. Bye, Metafiends.
Bye. Bye.